Picking up where we left off, we are going to use the discounted dividend model to find the current price of common stock. Well, there's a special case of this discounted dividend model that we are going to analyze. It refers to firms whose dividends are expected to grow at a constant rate. So we're going to call that constant growth stock. So again, it is a stock whose dividends are expected to grow forever at a constant rate. That constant rate we are going to label little g. So if little g is constant, the discounted dividend formula will converge to the following. So the current expected price on common stock is equal to that stock's next dividend divided by the difference of the required return on the stock and that constant growth rate. So again, this is just a restatement of what I just mentioned. We are going to use a special case of the discounted dividend model as it applies to constant growth rate stock. That means that the dividends and a couple of other things are growing at this constant rate forever. So the formula for these stocks to find the current price of these stocks is equal to the following. The current expected price is equal to the next dividend expected to be paid divided by the difference of the required return on the stock and that constant growth rate. So for more explanation of this formula, you can click on this Show Me to see that. In the meantime, we will move on because in this formula, G, that constant growth rate, is very powerful. So let's make a few deductions about G. If G is ever greater, remember that constant growth rate, if it's ever bigger than the required rate of return on the stock, that would lead to a negative stock price. And that doesn't make any sense at all because we can't have a negative stock price. We know from way back in chapter 1 that you can't have a negative stock price. A stockholder, an investor, can never lose more than what they've invested in the stock because corporations offer their owners limited liability. So G can never be bigger than R sub S. Furthermore, G can never be equal to R sub S. Why is that so? Because in the formula, that would lead to 0 in the denominator. We can't divide by 0. That doesn't make any sense. So we can say that the constant growth model, that formula we've seen in the last couple of slides, it can only be used when R sub S, the required return, is greater than that constant growth rate. G, we've already mentioned, is expected to be constant forever. G is the constant growth rate in dividends. We've said that before. But it is also the constant growth rate in earnings and in that firm's stock price. So G is very powerful. So let's go ahead and set up an example using this constant growth model. Let's say that the current dividend, D sub 0, on this stock is $2. G, oops, that's the wrong variable. It should be little g, 4%, and R sub S is 9%. Oh, again, that should be a little R sub S equals 9%. So, using the and plugging it into the constant growth model, remember that this is the formula. the current price is equal to that firm's next dividend, not the last one, but the next one, divided by R sub S minus G. Well, the last dividend, D sub 0, is $2. The growth rate is 4%, little g. So the next dividend, if it's growing by this constant rate, if the last dividend was $2, it's growing by 4%, the next dividend has got to be $2.08. And then we divide that by R sub S minus G, and boom, we've got the current price on that stock, on that common stock, using this model, $41.60.